Hey, yo. Welcome back to Absolute Intense Wrestling's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs. As always, I am joined by Absolute Intense Wrestling owner, John Thorne. What's up, Thorne?
What's up?
Starting the streak over.
Yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. Got a heat wave on our hands here.
Oh, my gosh. Cooking out here.
Yeah, it's been a couple days, I'll tell you that.
It's one of the, like, I'm used to hot. You know, we're used to hot around here, but this is, like, upper echelon of hot. Like, stuff's closed down because of how hot it is, which isn't very typical around here.
Well, it's closed down because there was, like, an explosion at the Cleveland Power Company or something. So
yeah,
there's a bunch of places that are closed for until tomorrow. It sounds like everything's going to be fixed though until tomorrow, but like I got sent home from work yesterday early, work remote today because no air conditioning, no windows in the building, you know, so it's just like yesterday was brutality for the couple hours I was there. So, but got the old text alert that says everyone must return to work tomorrow, business as usual. So air conditioning must be fixed.
Yeah. And then next week is a holiday. You got a short week next week? Because I know I got a short week next week because of the holiday.
I can't believe, I mean, it seems like summer just started 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Because it's been cold and rainy for most of June.
Yeah.
So that's kind of shocking to me, honestly, that 4th of July is already upon us.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Doesn't it feel like summer like just started like a week ago?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the weather's been terrible. When we were in Youngstown, it felt like it was like a fall day. Like it was crazy. Like it was not, it was that whole week. It was, rainy and whatever. And now you almost feel like 4th of July is like almost like the midway point of the summer. And yeah, it feels like it just started, even though we're already at 4th of July.
Yeah, that's not good. Hopefully that means we'll get some on the back end this year, like late October run into the good weather.
I would love to see it.
But yeah, so that's about it. Just, we went from fall weather to scorching hot desert weather in a matter of a day.
Yeah. Here
in Ohio. So we're getting through it. Luckily, the heat wave didn't really peak until after we got through last Saturday, or else that would have been really, really bad, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Tadmore does have air conditioning and stuff, though. So I mean, we did have the AC on for that show.
You know what I heard they don't have though?
What's that?
Heard the brownie sundaes were off the menu.
Dude, I felt so bad. I went back there early, like they opened it up, and I went over there, and I was hungry. I was trying to get something to eat. And I'm like looking at the menu, and they had like pie written on there, and then pie was crossed off. I'm like looking at him like, I don't see brownie sundae on here. I'm like, that's not a good sign. So I yelled back. I'm like, hey, are you guys doing Sundays today? And he's like, no, not today. And I'm like, damn it. I'm like, I said it on the podcast and everything, bro. You're killing me.
Yeah. Well, it was, I don't know, getting some strange vibes from the shrine that are very, very familiar to me.
Yeah, that was what you kind of discussed on Saturday, that you felt like you'd been in this territory before with venues.
Yeah, it was like a deja vu thing, to the final like year, 6 months of Turner's Hall. Getting that vibe a little bit. So I don't know. I hope they could figure it out, but it's just, things seemed drastically different on Saturday. And since the wall's been painted, really, like something's going on. They're trying to make some changes. They're trying to figure it out, and I don't think they're figuring it out. And it just, first the walls get painted, then the brownie sundaes go, then next to go is the heat, and then the doors are locked. That's,
yeah.
It's not looking great. I'll say that.
There were some interesting roadblocks for last Saturday's show, that's for sure. I don't know how detailed you want to get into everything, but there were some interesting stuff, at least building-wise. There was a door that we typically go through in the back there that leads from that one door. If you're looking at the stage... Yeah. What's that?
I was just going to say, there's multiple doors they've just lost the keys for.
Yeah. Well, this one, he had the key. This one just didn't work whatsoever. And that's where we go through there for electric, and we go through there to get the Ethernet cord to where it's got to be, and it just didn't open. Couldn't figure it out. We found the guy with the key. The key didn't work. The thing was just kind of spinning around, and me and the guy, the venue, responsible guy, we're looking at, we're like, well, I guess that's broke. And he's like, yeah, I guess that, the key don't work. It's not, the lock's not, nothing's working. I said, I said, I wonder how the locksmith's he's probably just gonna bash that handle right off there and start new, huh? And the guy goes, yeah, he probably will. And we laughed and kind of walked away. And then the solution ended up being, just going ahead and taking the handle right off there. And the guy came back and he goes, oh, you got it open. Nice job. And he was like happy with us. I was like, oh boy, I was a little surprised there, but okay, hell yeah.
Badger just banged that thing right off with a screwdriver.
Yeah,
screwdriver and a flashlight.
He got it in his mind that door was opening, because there was a couple times I was like, I don't want us to get in trouble. Who knows what's going to happen. I said, we could probably fit it under or go around. He's like, I'm getting that door open. I go, all right, Pedro, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, we can ask anybody if we can do this, or you're just hitting the thing, taking the thing off. All right, we're not asking.
Well, like I said, the guy he agreed with me wholeheartedly. He goes, yeah, that's probably what they're going to do. It's broken. We need a whole new handle. They're just going to break it off. He was in agreement. So I think we just saved the locksmith a step, honestly.
Yeah, we had internet. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it was, Saturday was a weird day. Saturday was a very stressful day for me. I'll say that. I don't know how much I'm going to get into, but there was a lot of stress happening. On top of the budget, and you got to worry about travel and all this other stuff, and then Akron had not been selling well. It was not selling that well until like Friday.
Yeah. You hit the update on Friday.
I think we sold 75 tickets on Friday alone, which is a big number for a day.
Yeah, like, in one day, yeah.
But yeah, it was just like, I don't know, like the whole day just, it was just one of those things where it felt like there was just like some bad mojo in the air or something, like it was just one of those days.
It felt like, and always it's kind of a deal where people come to you for things. You have a lot of questions. You have a lot of things to deal with. It felt like quadruple the amount of people like, hey Thorn. I know at one point I was going to ask you something just with a song or something, just kind of minutia or whatever, and I looked back and I said Thorn, and you were somebody else was like, hey Thorn, and then somebody as that, like three different people at the same time were like, hey Thorn. I was like, I'll worry about this later, and you just looked at me like, Jesus fucking Christ, like who now? What the fuck now? Like it was just all day of people. Yeah,
it was a weird day. I don't know, like it's just usually not like that, and then
especially there,
Yeah, it was just a bizarre day. Is the best that I can put it. Yeah, it's just strange. It's. I did tell Patty that because also Friday was the anniversary of Biggins passing, and. I told Patty, I said, I don't know. I said, I think Chris has been, thinking it's been going a little too smooth. I think he wanted to throw a bad day at me here to see if I could still, swing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, it was just, cool as Andy lost a finger.
Oh, man.
Just a lot of weird things going on.
Yeah, you even had said that, this was like, the highest level of like bullshit in one day that we typically see. You're like this, things go wrong or whatever, but this is like, this is it. Like everything, how many freaking things now, can go wrong in one day. But yeah, that clip of Andy getting his finger cut off, holy shit. You can immediately see a giant pool of blood below. Like when you know what you're looking for and you watch it, you can it comes flying off and he looks at his hand like, oh shit, that hurt. And then you look at the ground and there's immediately blood all over the ground. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was just a little on edge too. It seemed on Saturday too. Like I think I think a little bit on Saturday was the first to where Pedro's like, why am I like, he wanted to be the ring announcer and all that, and he has other responsibilities, and I think he was getting the hey Pedro just like as much as I was getting the hey Thorne, and I think like he was like at his wit's end before the show even started, because it's just like you got he has like a seating chart for them to at the door, and you got people coming back like, hey, where's Jim Smith supposed to sit? And he's like, I don't fucking know. You got this fucking thing up there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, And then, like, I think after, like, the third one of those, I just see him go, Jesus fucking Christ, and, like, storm to the door. And I was like, I think he's, like, this is all the stress is, you know what I mean? Like, he wanted to take on more responsibilities, and I think, like, that was, like, it was really boiling up on Saturday for whatever reason. Yeah. Like Saturday was just an odd day. I was like, I don't know if it was a full moon or what, but it was just everything. Like, I felt like I was on an episode of Parks and Rec or something. Like there are certain points where I'm just like looking at people and I'm just like, is this really a conversation we're having right now? Yeah. Like, is there a hidden camera in here? Like, I was just like, what is going on? It was just like a day like that to where it was like everything was like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it was a long day. I don't know. It wasn't, like you said, the peak of the heat or anything like that, but it was decently hot. I don't know, because every time I walked outside, I was dying out there. But
yeah, there was, there was a lot, just a lot of things going on, I made like the joke when I went out on the stream at intermission to give Dustin a break, and I just said, man, anybody that watched One Night Stand and remembers that Joey Styles quote where he says total non-stop attitude, I was like, fuck, they were correct, and it was just a day of dealing with just like crazy things, but this is why I thought that I was on a hidden camera show is, Kid Cash and I are talking and we're discussing all these different things. And, I'm explaining to him that he worked here before and he's saying he never worked here before. He'd never seen me before. And I'm like, you definitely worked here before.
2 days.
And like, I was just like explaining it to him. I was like, we've worked together before. Like it was in, these were the dates you came in. It was in downtown Cleveland. It was over 2 days. It was a weekend. We're going. We're talking back and forth. He's like, "Oh, is this where Don Hansen works?" And I was like, "What?"
So great.
And he's like, "I swear, the last time I was up here is the last time I saw Don Hansen." And I was just like, "What?" Like I was like, "I don't know." Like I was like, "You have now you have this story confused and like with somewhere else." I was like, "I'm sure you've worked here before. But I don't know." I don't know who Don Hansen is. I don't like, he's talking to me like I'm supposed to know who he is. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I don't know where you think this was or, who Don Hansen is.
Yes.
And like,
so good.
We're going back and forth and like, it's like, it's getting a little heated because
tense for sure.
He's telling me that like Don Hansen works for me. And now he remembers working for me because, him and Don Hansen were there. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, dude. And he was just like, and he's looking at me like I'm an idiot because I don't know who Don Hansen is.
Yeah.
And
like how do you not know this guy?
I'm just like, he's like, how do you not know who Don Hansen? I'm like, Stan? He's like, no, Don. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And like, it is getting so like uncomfortable that a room full of people when this conversation started had all left. And it's just him and I in there as we are debating if I know a man named Don Hansen. And like, I'm telling him he worked here for me, and he's telling me he only worked for me when Don Hansen was here. And I'm just like, you are confusing two different scenarios.
Yeah,
and
something's
then he goes,
wrong.
And like, he's like, how the fuck do you not know who Don Hansen is? You're a wrestling promoter and you don't know who Don Hansen is. And I'm just like, dude, I've never heard of that name in my life. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know who this is. And he's like, how the fuck do you not know who he is? He's so fucking over. And I'm like, dude, I've never heard of Don Hansen. He's like, Don Hansen. He was here the last time I was here. It was in Cleveland. It was downtown. It was by the river in downtown Cleveland. He's like, I wrestled Marco Stunt in one of my matches, Little Marco. And I'm like, that sounds correct.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I don't know who Don Hansen. He's like, how do you not know who Don Hansen is? He's so fucking over. He's got the face paint. Everybody loves him.
Boom.
And I go, Danhausen?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, Don Hansen. And I'm like, oh my God, like, is this a fucking, like, I was just like, this is insane. Like, this day is insane. He's like, yeah, Don Hansen.
Dude.
And like, I was like, Danhausen? He's like, yeah, that's what I've been saying.
That's what I said.
I'm like, because he's got that Southern accent. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, holy shit, dude. Like, this is insane.
It's immediately one of my all-time now favorite stories ever. I mean, it ranks up there with Guido running out of the car for Terry Funk. Like, him, like, and the whole, everyone, we're all like, you're telling the story to everyone, and we're all on the same page. Like, who the fuck? And then when you say the face paint, everyone snaps, and we're like, Danhausen. And you're just like, holy shit, that's funny, dude. It's so good.
Yeah. I was just like, I just like laughed. I was like,
so good.
yeah, you were right. He was here.
Yep.
See, that's what I thought, man. That's what I thought.
Don Hansen.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, but yeah, so like, that was just like one of like the things that happened on Saturday to where I'm like, what is going on today? Like, what is happening in this building? Like, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. I'm dead serious.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, we were having internet issues a little bit there. We were having communication issues with the people. I mean, it was, like you said, was it a full moon? I think we were probably close to one because...
Here's another thing that made it feel like the Twilight Zone is Chase Oliver was in one of the best moods I've ever seen him in my entire life. The entire day. He's just got all these ideas. It's just like, he's so happy to be there. He's like, he was like so motivated and doing all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. You know, and like, I was just like, whoa. Now this is also odd because he's usually mad about something or, you know, there's something that's bothering him and nothing was bothering him. And then, you know, the main event happens and then he gets mad. And then I realized that he had put his personal camera out there and it got accidentally knocked over during the main event and broke. And then I go, oh, okay, here we are. The universe is resetting right now because Chase Oliver is breaking things back here and is very mad. And I go, at that point, I felt like, as stupid as it sounds, I go, okay, we've reset. We've reset back to normal here. And, you know, the episode of The Twilight Zone is over.
Yeah, we're back to reality.
It was just like one of those... okay, the universe has reset right here at this very moment. But yeah, he was pissed, rightfully so. I get it. You know, I told him I'll replace his equipment. I still have not heard from him since Saturday. So those people that are waiting for you know, the file for Patreon, and you know, there was a couple internet glitches on the mainstream. I want to re-upload that. Just waiting for Chase Oliver to decompress. You know, I reached out to him today, saying like, "Hey, what's going on?" So I haven't heard anything back yet. So we're right back. We're right back to normal, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he went from as happy as I've ever seen him to as angry as I've ever seen him. Like you said, I mean, rightfully so, but. You know, it's an unfortunate event. The crazy thing, too, is we were having, like, internet issues is I have had internet issues since those storms that we had last week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we had crazy storms, and I have a friend who works for the internet company. He's like, And he even told me, he's like, yeah, a lot of people have been having problems. They got a lot of water in the lines. I go, what the hell does that even mean? Because just, you get that much rain. There's some of these compartments where the circuit boards are held and blah, blah. You can get water in there, and that can cause a lot of issues and stuff. So I definitely think that could have had a little bit to do with the Tadmore's internet connection as well, for sure.
Yeah, it's possible, because, I didn't think anything of it, but, my home internet has been, going in and out.
Yeah.
Resetting and going out for 20 minutes when it wasn't storming. But, in the last 2 weeks, that's definitely happened. I didn't know if it was with the heat or, all that. I don't really even pretend to understand what impacts all that stuff. But
yeah,
it's definitely been happening at my house. So, it's possible that's what was happening at the Shrine. I know Chase was also trying to do where he would clip things for social media for the first time.
Yeah.
He was playing with that, and so we didn't know if that had something to do with taking some of the bandwidth, so to speak. Which is possible, but you just never know.
It's really funny too, because talking about everyone was in a really good mood. We were all having a really good time back there. Chase, he goes, hey, when we're as the show's going on, he goes, if there's anything that you like or anything, the crowd gets a big reaction, anything, we should highlight or, replay, hit me, yell to me, replay, and I'll cut it, mark it there, whatever. When that's what he was doing, putting that stuff on social media. But there was a couple times about midway through show where we were everyone back there, replay! We were all laughing and just yelling, something would happen. I'll be like, oh yeah, definitely replay that. The spirits were very high in the back for a while there, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just the unfortunate thing. Hopefully, he's decompressed, and he will send me the bill here in the next couple days, in which I will throw myself further into debt. But, it's my responsibility, my fault, my show. I gotta handle it. I certainly don't think the wrestlers can buy a brand new video camera, so...
So that's right. If you're hearing this, make sure you're subscribed to our premium YouTube account and get all the back library, all our live shows. Get on there. Help us friggin' pay for this camera, damn it.
That's pretty much where the month of whatever we raise is going to, buying Chase's new camera. Because, he uses that camera for, he has a production business that he does on his own where he, films weddings and different videography gigs that he picks up. Mm-hmm. So, he certainly needs it to make his money. So I will be replacing that. So,
yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, is the crowd did get up, it was a pretty decent turnout in Akron, but financially it was it's a tough day for the company. I'll say that. Yeah,
some of the talents we brought in are not cheap. Fun to work, great to work with, though. Man, did you see that line? Oh my gosh, that was a long line.
Yeah, when the girls went out at intermission, that may be one of the longest meet and greet lines I ever saw. And then Priscilla Kelly went out after the show, and she signed for so long that the whole ring and room was torn down.
Yeah.
And she still had a line. She signed for a good hour after the show was over, and we had been totally torn down and cleaned up, and we're ready to go, and she still had, people that she was signing for.
Yeah. Yeah, she was awesome. That was good. That was a crazy line for sure. Like you said, I've seen some long lines for some of our people, but that was a long line. Speaking of, it sounded earlier just, shilling for the, for the premium YouTube, but I get updates, I'm subscribed to YouTube and I get updates all the time. Just saw another, we're adding stuff all the time. The value of the premium YouTube, you get all kinds of backstage stuff. Pedro films all these behind the curtains. They just put up a behind the curtain with Heath. We had Heath back in February at Penguin City Brewery, and they got together backstage with him and filmed a big long, shoot interview, as they say, or whatever. And I haven't got to watch that one yet, but all of them prior to this have been great. Tons of stuff like that up there. There's tons of content. So if you haven't subscribed to our premium YouTube, definitely get on there.
We got one that is over 30 minutes with Paul London. That's probably going to go up next month or so. So we're continuously kind of producing this content when we can get it, and kind of staggering the releases. But there's a really interesting one up there that's over a half hour. It's Steve Carino. There's a bunch of other ones. Zoe Sky. We put one up a few weeks ago with her. There's Tom Lawler's up there. Matthew Justice, Duke. Dustin Alberti also does a show Homeschooled, where he talks to students, in depth about their, training and kind of background. Derek Dillinger does a show called The Director's Chair, where he kind of just, gives a different kind of interview and approach to everything. We have a few of those up there as well. So we're trying to add value to what we're putting out and the content we're putting out there. We don't want it to just be you sign up, you watch a show. We're trying to give a little bit more, I don't know if you could classify it as premium content, but content nonetheless that is new and interesting, and gives just a lot more information out there for those people that want to dive a little deeper into the talents that come through AIW.
Yeah, so definitely worth it. Like I said, get on there. Every little bit helps, getting all the money in there, especially when you have unforeseen, you have a big bill, with talent, fly-ins, and all that stuff is not cheap. And then you have an unforeseen event, in a camera breaking or any type of, production equipment breaking is less than good. So
we're gonna have to get Cool Ass Andy a prosthetic finger.
Yeah, right. What's a fake finger cost, for God's sake?
It's only like the last knuckle, you know what I mean? It's only like the tip, so I feel like we can find him something pretty cheap.
Man, when he came into the bar after, there was just that guy sitting across the bar, and Fonzie was like, "Andy, you lost your finger," and the guy looked because he saw his hand was all bandaged up, and this guy just looked over like, "What the fuck is happening right now?"
Yeah, Andy was a trooper. Came straight from the ER to still drive people back to their hotels.
Yeah,
to the airport.
Fonzie's counting on him, man. He knows he's got to take care of Fonzie. That was funny too, because we're heading there, and me and Slim J are riding. He goes, "You think we got a ride to back to the hotel from the bar, or do you think maybe we'll have to Uber?" Because he knew I'm going a totally separate way. I go, "Oh no." I go, we'll get you a ride. Don't worry. I go, I know if Thorne's got Fonzie and he's heading to the bar, I go, that means he knows Fonzie's got a ride for sure. I go, he and not that he wouldn't do that to you. I go, but I guarantee he's got a ride for Fonzie. So if you and Fonzie are at the hotel, you're good to go. Don't worry. He goes, all right, cool. And then lo and behold, out of nowhere, Andy Cool Ass just walks in, and we're like, hell yeah, Cool Ass, dude. Way to be.
Yeah, but we had Alex Melee there as backups.
Oh yeah, it was just great when Cool Ass did show up. He came through the door like a celebrated hero. It was great.
like he just came back from war.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he just kind of unannounced walked through, and we're like, yeah, hell yeah, Cool Ass.
Yeah, it was just an overall just a strange day. Just one of those things. Sometimes you just have a strange day like that, and this was certainly one of them. I do think though that the show overall was very good. Everybody was able to. There's 7 matches, so everybody was given ample time to go out there and do stuff. We were able to take a little bit of a longer extended intermission. We weren't really rushing, and the show still kind of ended around normal time, right before 11 o'clock. So we were able to really make use of the fewer matches, but still, give people the usual AIW show length and experience sort of thing.
Yeah. We didn't cut it short or anything like that. And that was funny, excuse me, because a couple of people had came up to the sheet and like, oh shit, we got that much time? Like, okay, because it was a little bit more than, our typical shows. But how about Fonzie with the big surprise pop? That was fun.
Yeah, Fonzie, that was, Fonzie got the big surprise. But, kind of some other things that popped up. Dex Royal had to pull off at the last second the day before. Mm-hmm. He had an issue arise, and then you got to rebook the plan for Absolution. You know what I mean? So I got to do that. I got to figure that in. Sam Holloway He worked at Evolve the night before, and he banged up his knee somehow. He had it checked out. There's no serious injury or anything like that, but he did not think that he would be able to go. So then, we got to make changes. We got to make changes there. And, it was more of like a err on the side of caution thing with Sam.
Yeah.
But you have to look at that, and it's just like, this guy is in the WWE system. He feels like he can't give 100%. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe there's something not wrong. It's just better for him to, kind of sit out and, wait and see what happens throughout the week, instead of, if he does have some sort of injury, making it worse. So we had to make that call. So there's a lot of like reshuffling and different things that were also going on before, the legend of Don Hansen appeared. So there's a lot of different things that was, that was happening prior to that, to where it was just adding a lot of stress, unnecessary stress, and especially, we building things for Absolution, trying to get that Absolution card, kind of tied up with a bow on it, and then, well, the plan was, we were doing this stuff with Dex, Mikey, and Alec, and there was going to be some more things that happened there, and well, that plan's out the window.
Yeah,
got to sit down, got to come up with a new plan, and all I'll say is Alec Price and Mikey Montgomery, 2 out of 3 falls at Absolution, was not the initial plan, but that's the kind of gotta pivot and call the audible kind of right there on the fly, and so just there was a lot of kind of stuff like that, to where there was I's that needed dotted and T's crossed, and we needed to figure out not just stuff out for that show Saturday, but a lot of it had implications to the next show, which is Absolution in July.
Yeah, I think that's something that you don't realize, I guess, just maybe most fans don't think about, or this or that, but yeah, that that all happens on the fly, and then you have to plan not only, like you said, just to fix today, but it's got to work farther down the line, which is the harder part of it. You can't just throw stuff together. It's got to work out for the whole product. I think that's because your AIW and you so much as a whole is just kind of overall product. You don't want to just put on these matches just for sake of matches. It's this whole big plan. And when even something, small or whatever, just one person or this or that, it can have a bigger effect, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's like, it's like a ripple effect. Across a bunch of different things that, some people may think is just like, just have this guy in there, and there's a lot of that's just like, just do this and you're fine. And it's like, well, if we do this, then this has to change, and this has to change, and this is, this impacts this, and it's just like it's like a lot, and not everybody knows the plan. A great example of that is in Penguin City in Youngstown, where we were getting promos produced. And, now we've just talked about how he's a conquering hero. Now we'll throw him under the bus a little bit. Cool ass Andy. Backstage content producer was, he was trying his hand at that. And he's like telling us that it's wrong. And he's like, no, this is wrong. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, like, this is wrong. And I'm just like, it's on the sheet. What are you talking about? He's like, no, like Elena Black is at Absolution. She's not in it. She's not inaccurate. And I said, yes, she is. And he was just like, no, she's not. And I was just like, it just hasn't been announced yet. It's getting announced today. He's like, oh, but like, because not everybody knows the whole plan, but
yeah.
that's just an example of it, to where, sometimes somebody will come to me with a solution, but they don't know everything that's already been booked or is going on, or there's a lot of kind of different things, so where you can't just be sometimes like, oh, just do this and this and move this and then it's fine. Well, it's like, well, then how do we get to the next thing? You know what I mean? Like, the next thing's already booked. And a lot of people don't think like that, I guess, or not to say they don't think like that. They just don't have all the information.
Yep. It's sometimes you keep people in the dark on purpose, though. It's, somebody was saying something the other day about Battis, and I said, we purposely tell Battis wrong stuff just so he doesn't know all the time.
Yeah, you got to plug those leaks.
But yeah, I mean, overall, the show I thought was a great show. I thought there was a lot of, high points on the show for sure. I thought I liked AJ's performance a lot. I thought the Slugger, had a good match. There was, some roadblocks in that match, being that stuff.
Not if you ask everybody.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I didn't know how deep you want to get into that, but some stuff was changed around for that match, and I just thought, that I thought he did well for what happened to him, and stuff like that. So, and it was funny. We were talking about that, how he's going to remember that forever, that's so funny to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a rite of passage to just get yelled at by a vet. It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. So, I mean,
you and him both that day got yelled at by him.
There was some validity to what was being said. I'll say that.
Sure.
I mean? Like, there's. But I just don't think. I think sometimes the AIW system can be a detriment to the AIW Academy and graduates, because it is such a controlled environment 99% of the time.
Yeah.
And when these things that like are normal rites of passage is, an independent wrestler, like, a vet is mad that you did something that you weren't supposed to do. I think it's kind of like a jarring experience, right? And like, to me, like, I have to think it's great. You know what I mean? Because it's just it's a great learning experience.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, everybody, like, this is reality. You know what I mean? To where I do think that on the flip side of that, it's just like, we do try to protect them all and try to give them a great experience, and kind of get them to where they want to be, and learning things all the time. That was a learning experience for him. Whether he's neither of them, Vic and Austin James probably didn't like it, but 5 years from now they're going to think about it and they're going to apply some of that stuff somewhere. Like, it's just, it stays embedded in you forever. And like I said, there was some validity to what was said. There was some, just not as well, but that's how it goes. And again, that match had to change, right? Like, Vic got put into that match at 6 o'clock. When we finally made the call on Sam, and we had Sam was really wanting to do it, and Sam wouldn't say he wouldn't do it, and we sat down, and I said, okay, like, let's really talk about this. And I think at one point I said, okay, you can do the match if you think you can comfortably, briskly jog around the ring right now. And he is like, I don't want to try that. And I said, then I don't want you to try to wrestle.
Yeah.
No matter how good, EVP of Health Jeremy is, and Patty, and, they can get him ready to go. If you don't think that you can, do a brisk little jog right now, because you're not feeling great and, you're banged up, then it's not going to add anything to this match, right? Like, so that match was kind of doomed, I think, from the start. You know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those things.
Yeah, because I mean, that was the thing. You almost had to protect him from himself, because he kept saying, "Oh, me and Jeremy have a plan. He's going to take me up. I'll be good. I'll be good." He kept saying, like, he was adamant that he was going to do it. So that's why it took so long for things to change. And that was what I was going to say too. Is what I just thought. I thought they handled it well. You said what. The complaints are valid, some unvalid, whatever it was, but I just thought AJ handled it well, especially coming out afterwards. We had some laughs about it and stuff like that, and definitely something they'll remember forever. But, stuff like that, people don't, the fans out there, they just think, oh, switched around. There was a whole lot more to that switch around than just, what was out there, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it impacted the match. It impacted, what we were going to build to, and other things, and at that point it's just like, that's one that you couldn't, you're kind of handcuffed into, you just had to find somebody to get in there and fill a spot and, get through it. It wasn't, what I envisioned on paper. It certainly didn't come out anywhere close to what was envisioned on paper. And it's just one of those things to where, you gotta just power through it and hope everybody learned something from it. And I think people liked seeing Kid Cash. I think he did a few cool things in there. I think it served its purpose, but it certainly wasn't the expectation that I had. And a lot of that was when I built the match, with Sam in there to kind of be the big man, big bass, all that stuff in there. Mm-hmm. And that once that fell apart, and there was just really no one to fill that role there. I think it was gonna be what it was gonna be at that point.
Yeah. A lot of things building towards Absolution, though, that did happen. Like you said, I think the women's division is certainly heating up. I thought both of those matches were really great, and everything that came out of it is extremely exciting for Absolution, in my opinion. I think that's going to be, that will be very exciting at Absolution.
Booked on the fly. Another thing, booked on the fly there. It was just one of those things, and that's why anybody that was there live, there's that big pull apart and all that stuff, and Pedro disappears for a minute or two because I'm telling him right there, hey, this is now the plan for Absolution. And it's like it's being set and booked right there on the fly like that, and that's kind of one of the things that I don't think people realize sometimes is we're calling audibles like that, like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Uh-huh. Like in the day, sort of things. Working deals and getting Priscilla Kelly signed on for Absolution as well, and it's just one of those things. That was I thought that turned out to be a really magical AIW moment. Mm-hmm. when that pull apart is going on, and you just don't know how people are going to react to that. And when the crowd started chanting, "Let them fight," and everybody wanted to see it, I was just like, okay, we gotta do this.
Yeah.
We gotta do it. And it was just one of those things in real time. Because we wanted to do a moment with Elena and Priscilla, just for the the viralness of that potentially. Mm-hmm. And then it just, how do you get out of that? You gotta send Katie out there, and it was just one of those things where we were looking for a viral clip that turned into a really great AIW moment, and hopefully a big match for Absolution on top of it.
Yeah. That's one I'm definitely excited for. Like you said, though, there was a point in the back where you could hear him the "Let Them Fight" chant was going on, and you even kind of said something like, "That's it, we hear it." Like you commented on it. We're like, "You hear that? Like that's it. We're doing this like that." The crowd is telling you what they want. We're giving it to them, and that's one of the more interesting things, especially that I see from being in the back. That's one of the more fun things, stuff like that you're saying where shit gets booked on the fly, and you're like, "Oh, that was pretty cool." Like to just see that whole thing come together just naturally, like in the moment of whatever, and it becomes this great idea, and the crowd, it's working with the crowd and everything, and it just becomes an idea that just that's one of the more fun things to me for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a big match for Absolution. I looked today, and there's only 6 seats left, and then the 3 VIP tables. As far as if you want a seat in the Globe Iron, there's obviously going to be some standing room GA available. I don't know where that's at, but like I said, I can look on the AXS tickets, and they have a seating chart, and you can see there's 6 tickets left ringside, and then there's the 3 VIP tables that are left, which those are the best seats in the house. I know we've talked about it.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Find 4 people and buy those tables, because you're gonna have the best fucking time at Absolution if you're sitting in one of those tables. They're easily the best seats in the whole place.
Oh yeah.
After doing the 20th anniversary show and kind of getting a lay of the land, like those 4 tables are the fucking seats, for sure.
The one guy was like, he was loving it. He was like peeking back through the curtain and like yelling stuff because he knew we could hear him and stuff, because it was just the curtain divider and stuff. Like, it was funny. The one guy was having a good time up there, man. It's definitely, view wise, obstruction wise, it's incredible. All that stuff, and you get access to that bar in the back, that not everyone gets access to. There's a lot of perks to it, but just those seats are incredible. That's for sure. And I mean, what you're going to pay for a seat, anyways, you might as well get right up there on the stage. So.
I don't know if you get access to that private bar, but I mean, there's a bar right there on the floor when you walk off the stage.
Oh, okay. I thought you had to go around. The way you get to those, maybe I'm thinking of the upstairs VIP, but I thought there was like an area where that VIP bar was like only, where you can get to the stage.
That's for like the accessible seating. I think they're going to allow into that private bar now.
Okay.
If the GA sells out again, which I hope it does with the lineup that we have for Absolution. I hope that we can match what we did for the 20th anniversary show for sure, and sell that room out again. We have Elena Black, Priscilla Kelly, Ted DiBiase, on top of a really, really what I think is a strong card. Which I think anybody that has been to the last couple shows, especially people that were there last Saturday, I think you could probably guess most of the Absolution matches. I would hope. You can guess a lot of the Absolution matches based on everything that went down on Saturday. I think it's a very strong card. I think it's a very interesting card, and I certainly think it is capable of selling that room out for sure, especially with that 4-way we just added, with Elena, Priscilla, Katie, and Jocelyn. I think there's so much potential to really, really, really fucking pack the Globe Iron next month.
Yeah, I mean, people always asking for women's match, women's stuff, women's division in general. That's a barn burner one for sure. So definitely get your tickets if you haven't. The general admission tickets were great. If you're not worried about a seat, there's only a handful left. So if you want a seat, grab them now. But if you're not worried about a seat, the general admission seats are great. That room is really nice. Where the ring is up high, so even though you're standing, there's no real obstruction view wise. So general admissions are great tickets. Grab those tickets. We're definitely trying to sell it out. So
yeah, absolutely. I want to pack the Globe Iron. We're hopeful to keep a great relationship. I think it's a perfect room for wrestling. Great location. Just everything about it feels like it's a big show when it's in there. So we want to give them a big show, and hopefully people come out to support Absolution like it's a big show.
You know what I wanted to ask you too? Can we have we got to have a meeting or get an email going for all the things what as they say we need forwarded, as they say, the internet in the back there. There's a couple things they said the guys were like, if you'd let us know, we'll have it taken care of. I wrote a mental note to talk to you about that, to make sure we forward some of our necessities, as they say. I want to remember, so we can get that done. Globe Iron, great venue. I just got to have some things set in stone before you get there. It's a big corporate event, or a big corporate room, so they're very by the book. But that was the thing. Very helpful staff, great staff there, man. They take care of anything you needed. Just all very formal.
I was really shocked with how nice it is that they just announced Guar in that room.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's like ICP levels of like they put that clear sheeting like all over everything because they just spray.
Plastic, yeah. I was kind of shocked when I saw that they announced Guar in that venue.
Yeah, that'll be huge though. That'll sell out, I'm sure, for sure.
Seems more like a dirtier venue sort of performance. You know what I mean? Like it's just like. That's why, like, people are like, I want to fucking bleed everywhere at Absolution. I'm just like, I don't know if you really want to bleed in an $8 million venue. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, somebody was asking about the Halloween show or something like that, and they're like, we want to do the Terror Cage again. And you're like, dude, I don't think that's going to happen at the freaking Globe Iron, bro. Like, think about what you're saying right now.
Yeah, they're like, we want to do a ladder match. And I'm just like... Gringo Local's foot grazed a light. We're not doing any ladder matches in the Globe Iron. Like everybody's capable of fucking wrestling at a high level without the need of ladders and bleeding all over a brand new place. Sorry to disappoint the fans, but it's a business and you're dealing with a corporation and they don't want bloodborne pathogens leaking all over their fucking, their floor. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
We had this problem at the temple, and then Asking Alexandria fucking was pissed the next day. Yeah. They were fucking mad. They were pissed that there was blood in the green room from Derek Dillinger, and we had to pay for a deep clean of the green room to kill any potential bloodborne disease.
He's saying Derek's got some diseases or something.
No, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful. They don't know.
Yeah,
definitely.
I thought it was somebody else too. I didn't even think it was Derek. I thought it was another a name who actually you don't see.
It was Derek and Matthew Justice.
Okay. All right.
At Jalet.
I heard a different name, but
then a big old tour rolled through the next day, and they were like, "Why is there blood all over this stuff?" Then they refused to. They said they were going to walk out and not perform.
Ugh, what a bunch of babies. Act like a little blood is going to bother you. Asking Alexandria babies.
But yeah, allegedly it was them. Allegedly.
We do open it up to questions on our Patreon. We did get a question this week that I kind of want to talk about to get your opinion on.
Before we get to the questions, is there anything else that you want to talk about on the show?
Oh,
we didn't really talk about the show.
You're right. I just had this open. I did not want to forget it for the end here. I thought everything was great. I really liked the main event. The big brawl at the end was great. How did you?
There's a lot happening on that thing.
What's that?
There's a lot happening in that thing.
Yeah, and speaking of equipment and this and that, how about our wireless cameras? We were getting some angles in the Tadmor Shrine that we have not gotten before, and just the ease of catching some of these brawls. Speaking of stuff going on in the back and taking bets. Were you there when we were taking bets on how long Justice would go? And he said, "No, guys, I'm good. I've been on TV lately. I'm on TV time now," and ended up going like 6 minutes over.
I said, this show has been adjusted for Justice time. Yeah. No, I'm good now. I said this, and then went 6 minutes over and broke 4 more doors and tables than they were supposed to.
Oh, you're gonna get Dom hot again, bro.
Oh, Dom is in the doghouse. I'll tell you that.
Oh no.
Dom is in the doghouse. I let him be fucking Jimmy Corderas and run the house show, Bruce Pritchard and run the house shows, and not happy with the fucking reports that I got from the Minerva event. That's all I'll say.
I was not there. I was at my son's birthday party.
I was at Chuck Stone's wedding, and I let Office Dom go and be the road agent in charge.
He was hot about those tables, though, because we were kind of giving him the business. You broke every table. He's like, no, we didn't. He was getting so mad.
Well, he was on edge because he was getting scolded by me about the Minerva report that I received.
Yeah.
So he was out all day, and then he just knew. Then I go, oh, how many fucking... I go, there's only fucking 6 doors under there. You broke 4 of them. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun messing with Donald because he was getting hot, that's for sure.
But I thought you were going to say, speaking of equipment, how about Marino and Trey breaking one of our brand new barricades that I just bought?
Yeah.
Just another fucking fuck me thing. Just go and just fuck me. Just more money lit on fire.
Broke the barricade and ripped off Andy's finger in one fell swoop.
Right.
Cost more than just a barricade. It cost a man's damn finger.
Yeah, it cost an appendage.
Overall, though, I did think it was a great show. I just think the quality of wrestling, the in-ring talent that AIW brings, just can't be matched in this area whatsoever. I just think top to bottom, the show, the crowd was just hot all night. Great show in general. If you haven't seen it, get on our YouTube.
Priscilla Kelly was actually shocked at how low our ticket prices were for the show. She tweeted about it. She couldn't believe that $20 was an increase day of show price. Mm-hmm. We're trying to provide value. You know what I mean? And it has us kind of teeter on the edge of success and failure a little closer than I'd like to be. But we're doing this in hopes to get people in the doors to support these shows. And I think, it has certainly helped bring Akron back around a little bit with the new pricing structure there.
Yeah. Yeah, she was great. Hope to see more of her back, more than just past Absolution. She just seemed like she really enjoyed the vibe that AIW brings. She just seemed like she fits in well here at AIW, just with the vibe. She during the big pool part, she was out there hitting DX suckets from the second row. Man, it was great.
Yeah, she was saying some really funny shit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I think that she really fit in well.
Yeah.
I think Elena Black was put through the ringer the night before by Joey Janela, and I think she was a little worse for wear. I think she was feeling that Saturday, but by all accounts, also super easy, super cool to work with. I think she was just feeling a little bit of the road on Saturday, and the bludgeoning that Joey Janela had put forth onto her body on Friday night.
Did you see the clip? He smoked her with that table part. Like, he smokes her with the table. Like, she probably was not feeling great.
Yeah, and then to go from that and have to do like a long travel day on Saturday is I'm sure that was like very much I'm back on the indies kind of combo of things to happen. But she was, by all accounts, like ready and happy to work on Saturday.
Yeah, super nice.
So both of the girls were great to work with. So yeah, I thought the show was incredible. I think just to goes without saying, they had their whole plan and everything changed, but Mikey and Alec went out there and just fucking ripped it.
Yeah.
I think that they certainly rose to the occasion and are ready to try to steal the show at Absolution 100%. That crazy tag match that opened the show. Derek, Vince, Justice, and Dom was fucking crazy. I was honestly a little shocked at how much weaponry and things that they did. Vince has been out of AIW for a long time.
Yeah.
I think that was like, that was certainly the welcome back sort of situation and performance that, gave him the full experience. I was honestly a little shocked at how crazy it got, how much of that he was right in the middle of. I think it showed that he's ready to play, and I think obviously it is gonna be very interesting when we see him and Justice lock horns at Absolution in the singles. I thought the whole fucking show was really good, outside of the four-way that we talked about that just, never really clicked into place. I thought everything delivered to over-delivered.
Yeah. Vince rules, man. That he's a pure psychopath. You just look at that dude. He comes through the curtain, you're like, holy shit, like something's about to go down. And the tag, the impromptu tags of those two was a great match. I'm definitely excited for Absolution.
The funny kind of behind the curtain thing that I thought was great is, fucking in that main event, Fonzie goes out. Fonzie's music plays, he goes out. Then all of a sudden, Justice comes up and you hit Justice's music.
Yeah.
He goes out.
I know what you're gonna say.
And then Vince sees Justice go out, and then he comes up, and you're like, "Oh shit, I gotta get your music." He's like, "Fuck that, I don't want my fucking music," and just like just stormed right out.
Yeah,
like it was the realest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
you're like, "Oh shit, I gotta get your music. I didn't know you were going." He's like, "Fuck that, I don't want my fucking music." Yeah, he's like, just fucking ran out there.
Yeah, I don't fucking need it. He said, and just like it was just a total badass move. Like, it wouldn't have been hard. It was just a little higher in the thing. Like, I just didn't know he was running out as well. And I was just like, oh shit, like, let me get it for you. And he's like, I
don't think anybody knew he was running out. He's like, fuck that. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Badass motherfucker, dude. That guy, Vince rules.
I was just like, oh shit. Like, it was just like one of those fucking funny things that like people just don't understand, like how just on the fly all this shit really happens, in an environment like AIW where there's ongoing stories and all this stuff. And, I didn't know that he was running out either. You know what I mean? That wasn't a booked thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that was booked was the Fonzie thing, and everything else kind of just breaks down from there. And I just thought that was like such a fucking funny moment where he's like, "Fuck that, I don't need it."
I don't need it. He said, "Yeah, it was awesome." So many matches. I'm excited, hopefully, to see that guy have in the AIW because he's just a fucking maniac, dude. Love it. Another match I wanted to talk about too that was really great. I thought, not spoiler alert if you haven't watched the show, we had to turn your radio down now, but newly formed tag team Beef Jerky Jitsu having a little bit of a hiccup there. Very interesting to see.
Man, that one was difficult to see because I feel like Beef Jerky Jitsu had so much potential.
Oh yeah, I was so shocked. I mean, I could watch those two all day when they came out for the song, and it was another behind the scenes. They didn't even know what song they were coming out. You and I decided what song they were coming out to.
Like, yeah, so he goes and I go, we go, no, you got a song. You guys got a song.
We got you.
And we're like, Kung Fu Fighting, and they both were like, what? And then like we had to like literally sing it to him to wait on the ho 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 ho. Like, there's gonna be four of them. Like you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the right one. They had no fucking idea what that song was at all.
But I mean them coming through the curtain, Kaplan doing like the chops and shit, and like it's just gold. It is absolute gold. And I was so disappointed to see the drama there.
Maybe the shortest lived, most popular tag team of all time.
For sure.
I wonder if they'll still release a shirt post-mortem.
Dude, that's a good seller, dude.
They'd fucking make $1 million, I think.
No doubt.
Tyson should do it and just keep all the money.
That'd be even funnier. Oh man,
Cosmic Cowboys are another kind of favorite thing of mine, creation of mine.
Yeah,
I think that they're a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of potential for them. I think anytime Paul London is around, it just as weird of a day as I was having and as stressed out as I would have, Paul London would make a couple comments to me, and they were just so funny.
He's the best.
He was just like when the lecture was going on.
Yeah.
With after the four-way, Paul London comes up to me. He's like, "Man, I bet you when these guys saw that they were booked against Kid Cash, they didn't know they were getting a 45-minute seminar free of charge." And he just walked away.
It's just little shit like that he says that's so good, and then he'll just walk away. Like he leaves you with it and then just walks off. He's the best. Paul is the absolute best, dude.
Yeah, anybody that's looking for a great locker room guy, book Paul London. Book the Cosmic Cowboys, because I think that they are really developing a really good act. Paul has embraced this thing, and it's helping Shelby, and Paul's having fun with it. And when he's having fun, I think the crowd can tell they're having fun. And I think it's just it's one of those things. It's becoming one of those things to where it's just a good time.
Oh yeah, I mean you see all the the pictures and stuff that everyone tags in. I mean, I saw Shelby taking pictures with a ton of people with with Peaches and the horse, and everyone really seems to be big on that. And it's definitely helping Shelby. But a performer really coming into his own. A guy who graduated from the academy. Has his character, but didn't necessarily have, a way per se. He was in some scrambles here and there, stuff like that. And really with Paul, in this tag team, really kind of starting to find himself, in the ring and in character-wise. And it's fun to watch for sure.
It's funny you said that Shelby was taking pictures and stuff and selling stuff. At intermission, I noticed Paul was doing none of that. I'm pretty sure he was shopping at everybody's table. Like he was walking. I saw him just going around to the tables.
Paul is the best.
Like he was shopping at the flea market or something. Like he wasn't trying to sell anything. Like I just kept seeing him go down the line, like looking at everybody's merch. Like it's like I think he's shopping right now.
He's the best, man. Paul's the best. He at the end of the night we were heading out, and he must have been tired or something. He said he was heading to the hotel, and I was really bummed that we didn't get to hang with Parking Lot Paul that night. But more for next time, I suppose.
Well, spoiler alert, I heard that Wes Barkley drove him, and they stood in the parking lot until 3:30 in the morning of the hotel. So Parking Lot Paul was he was on. He just didn't make it to the bar. He made it to the hotel and then stayed in the parking lot until 3:30 in the morning. Yeah,
that happened to you the one time. You never made it out of Akron. You guys ended up staying in the parking lot of like the restaurant or whatever. Didn't you say that one time? You never even made it out of Akron.
Yeah, I didn't make it out till like 3 o'clock in the morning because I got Parking Lot Paul gets going, and you just got to listen to the stories.
The shit he says is so great. He tells these captivating stories that you have to hear the end of. You know what I mean? He's just such an entertaining guy. He just says just great stories. So definitely book Paul if you're listening. That's for sure.
Yeah. Did we forget anything? Did we forget to talk about anybody's matches?
I don't know. What all did we cover? Hold on.
The girl matches were great. Jocelyn and Lena Black was great. Priscilla and Katie was great. I mean, there were only 7 matches, so I think we got them all.
We talked about I did think the freeview that we did was great. Some things got shuffled around, but I thought the freeview was definitely a good match. What else?
Malcolm and Melee, yeah, they that was thrown together. They didn't have a lot of time to put that together. Not the best, not the worst.
But no, that was everybody. I believe we covered because there's only 7 matches on the card, and that was the funny thing about the second half too. And Pedro even said at one point, he goes, "We were in match 6 or something like that," and he's like, "Oh yeah, shit, there's only one more match to go." And I was like, "Yeah, the second half feels so much shorter for whatever reason, even though it was only one match. It just felt like there was just so much less." For whatever reason, I don't know.
And, that main event went 30 minutes, I think.
29-30, yep.
Yeah, so it was, we certainly filled the time in. It just allowed, all these, kind of storylines and things that we have going on to, get some time to shine, so to speak.
So that was pretty much the show. I did want to mention, like I said earlier, something I wanted to get your opinion on. We take questions from our Patreon. If you get on our Patreon, you can get in our Discord. We have Discord. We discuss all kinds of stuff. You can ask questions. We'll answer them here on the podcast. Our old pal Scott Random saw a post that's been going around. Old pal Eric Stevens looking like he's dipping his toe back in the independents again. Looks like he's taking bookings, and Scott Random wants to know, is this real? I'm fairly positive, yes, it is real. I think I can go ahead and say that. And then he asks for you, if so, any interest?
I mean, I haven't talked to him. I don't know how legit it is or not.
Mm-hmm.
He retires, he unretires, he retires, he unretires. Sometimes I think he's retired and unretired before he's had a match. So I don't really know, to be honest. I'm gonna wait, kind of. I'm gonna take a back seat and see what happens and see how it all develops. We're kind of, like I said, in the middle of absolution season and all that stuff. So we have a pretty light August coming up, so it's just one of those things where it's like, let's wait and see what happens, and where things are at in a few months, sort of thing for my perspective, you know what I mean? Because absolution is, absolution is booked up. You got the North Canton and you got Rager. So let's just see where we're at, come the fall or something like that, and then maybe it's something I'll look into. I got to see how serious the whole thing is, before I really make a decision on it, because there's not a ton of spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're mixing in, flights and all that stuff, and you just got to see. You just got to see it all, how it all plays out. Are we going to get additional support, ticket sales? There's a lot of different things to factor in. And it's just like we were just talking about, like really liking the development of this Paul and Shelby tag team, and Paul has an expensive flight, obviously from California, so it's all about kind of budgeting. There's a lot of factors for me to be able to just say yes or no to that question.
Mm-hmm. Do you think of, speaking of that too, that just makes me think of something. Do you think that that's like a weighing thing on Shelby too? It's like, okay, you got this developing tag with the guy, but then this tag with the guy is a flight from California, mostly going to be coming to these East Coast states. That's got to be, that's kind of hard to navigate too. It's like, I start this tag team with a guy, but he lives, on the other side of the country. It's got to be a little tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not ideal,
right?
But I think it's a great act.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else or other promoters are going to think it's a great act or think it's worth the investment, but I certainly think it adds to what we do in AIW, and I think it fits, what we're doing. Plus, love having Paul around, so it's just kind of, there's a lot of factors, but again, we can't have that flight every show. Paul's not on every show, so it's just one of those things to where it's, you gotta kind of space it out and see how it all comes together.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to get to before we get out of here? We didn't really open it up for questions. We just kind of had a midweek pod here. We both had the day off. I said, hey, let's jam something out, do a little review, just kind of keep this streak going. So we didn't really put it out there for questions, but anything else you want to get to before we get out of here?
No, I mean, I just want to see, hopefully payday's coming up. We see a good bump in those Absolution ticket sales over this weekend, and we want to keep that consistency going as far as moving tickets, every week as we march towards Absolution. That's right now. That is all systems go. The main objective is to sell out the Global Iron on July 18th. There's nothing else really, in existence in the AIW kind of radar right now other than selling out Absolution July 18th. We got to do it. There's, we can't accept anything less than a sellout really for Absolution on July 18th. It's, obviously a very expensive lineup. I think it's a very strong lineup, and, not to mention, just it's a nice venue that comes with, its hurdles and expenses and different things. So it's going to be a hefty bill for AIW on July 18th, and we need everybody's support to come out and pack that place. We're trying to get also revamp kind of the presentation. We're looking into getting some work done on the ring, and updating kind of the look, maybe a new set of ring aprons and things like that. There's a lot of ideas that we have, but it's hard to front that money for things that don't make any money, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like fixing the ring up isn't going to make us any more money. It's just like a cosmetic expense, but it's something that we're looking into just from a presentation standpoint, being in a building like that. So we want to make sure that if we're going to put that money out, that we're going to be able to pack the Globe Iron on July 18th.
Absolutely. Are we in? Does this count for the AXS tickets where you do day of? It's going to go up $5? Because I know I had somebody tell me that they bought a ticket on day of for the Tadmore show, and I said, why wouldn't you buy them yesterday when they were $5 cheaper? Like, why would you wait till day of and pay that extra $5?
Yeah, they do increase for all their shows, I believe, day of ticketing.
Okay.
So the prices will go up. Anytime you're down there, if you happen to be downtown and Globe Iron has a show going on, you can go to the box office for super reduced fees, or any Wednesday and Thursday afternoon into the early evening, the box office is open for more reduced fees. So I know people like Bill Taylor, a lot of people have been going to the box office to get tickets, and they're getting them cheaper than online. But don't wait till the day of the show and buy them at the box office, because they are going to increase the price.
Yeah.
That's just a common music venue thing, and we're starting to incorporate it on our Eventbrite ticketing, at certain venues, to try to encourage people to buy more in advance. So we're incorporating that practice going forward on any of the events that we handle the ticketing on as well. Just trying to encourage more of that, buy in advance, so we can kind of get an idea of how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. Whether it looks like it's going to go good or go bad or whatever. We've seen, it certainly has kind of started things trending back upwards in Akron at the Shrine. So, I think it's a practice that's working. Like I said, we saw 75 tickets sell on Friday, to beat that $5 increase.
Yeah.
So, that was a big number that normally those people probably would have walked up, and we would have been looking at potentially a much worse day, which would have added a lot more, stress and things like that. And then maybe you get them at the walk up when it's all said and done, but
you would have been stressed out prior, that's for sure. You'd have been worried.
Right, because the pre-sale was pretty bad up until Friday.
Yeah, and then we had
a
big run. I know you texted, Friday afternoon, like, man, we just had a big run. And then at the end of the night Friday, you said, well, we ended up okay because we had a huge number today. But yeah, so if you're listening, you don't have tickets, grab them early, appease John Thorne's stress level and brains, get those tickets before, save that $5. Like you said, even go down to the box office, save as much as you can on those fees. That's something that's unfortunately out of our hands. Not much we can do about those fees and stuff. So save yourself the cash, go down there, stop in a Wednesday or Thursday, and get those for reduced fees.
And with the all-in fees, the ticket prices may look much more expensive than usual, but they have to list them with the fees now up front. So again, the fees are in that ticket price you see on AXS, but like there's no, they don't hit you at the end where they're like, okay, here's our whatever fees. Like now it works into the posted price.
Yeah.
So
it's an out the door price.
A general admission isn't really $29. You know, it has like the fees and everything already wrapped up in it when you look on the AXS website.
Right. Perfect. All right. Well, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, did you get anything?
I know you said pretty much just only concerned about selling out for Absolution, but I know tickets for Wrestle Rager have gone on sale. So if that's something you're thinking about, I wouldn't wait because that one will sell out. So
that one's already almost sold out.
Not to
push it too hard, but
I say we do a mystery card again.
Already over a third of the tickets are gone. So, yeah, I mean, who knows?
Sound off.
If it sells out. If it sells out in advance, there's no need to advertise anything, really.
Yeah. I always think that's a fun idea, though, especially, and it was really fun for Rager that year, especially with the surprise that we had come out, early on in the match. So I think the surprise stuff is fun.
Yeah, where else are you going to see Rhino and Cool-Ass Andy lock horns?
Oh, such a
two just fucking beasts in the wilderness.
Dude, it was great. Great stuff, man. Yeah. Send the Booker of the Year award straight to Thorne's house because there's been some great ones.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, it's true.
There's been some funny ones. I don't know if there's been some great ones.
Oh, there has. Some behemoth. Talk about behemoths locking horns, Swoggle and Micro Man, dude. I mean, that alone should have won you the damn award.
Well, it did happen in 2025, so there's still time.
There you go. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for us. For myself, for John Thorne, for everybody at Absolute Intense Wrestling. We'll see you next time. Thanks.